Hey listeners, it's Paul Andriola here. Why not join our community at Small Cap Discoveries, where we offer our members direct access to some of the best microcap investment opportunities available. Our members are getting access to premium microcap financings, research reports, and direct access to management. Sign up today at www.smallcapdiscoveries.com.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Small Cap Discoveries conference call. Today is May 24th, 2024. And today on our call, we have the CEO, Hadi Abassi, and the whole team from Atlas Engineered Products. Atlas trades on the TSX Venture Exchange under the symbol AEP, and it also trades on the OTC under APEUF. The company is currently trading at $1.46 with about 60 million shares outstanding, or about an $87 million market cap. I'd now like to hand it over to Paul Andriola, and after he says hello, we'll start with a little video.
A little video.
A little video.
Yeah. So listen, we don't have the whole team here. We actually have guys at some people actually working today making money. So it's nice. We do have some of the team, but not the whole team. I want to be clear about that. You guys, you know my position here. I'm a director of the company, so I have to have that disclaimer out there. But super excited. One of my favorite people on the planet, Hadi, is with us. We've got a couple of members of the team here with us as well, and they may actually speak up at some point. But the reason we're here is that next big leg and next big sort of step forward for the company is to introduce robotics, not just our company, but really we're looking at introducing robotics to the truss industry really for the first time in Canada. So lots of exciting stuff. There's been a little bit of news out in the last week or so in regards to some of the steps forward. So we're excited to have Hadi here. As I mentioned to Hadi, he'll be doing the most of the presentation, but I'm gonna how hard it is for me not to jump in, so I'm gonna be jumping in from time to time. But before we even have Hadi start, we're going to show you a video for those that haven't seen it before. This is a video of the type of robotics we're talking about. So once we conclude the video, we can get into the presentation, and of course later we can open it up for questions. So with that, Trevor, I'll let you start the video, and then we can bring on Hadi. Perfect, perfect. So as Hadi likes to say, those are ballerinas out there on the dance floor working. It's just an example of kind of what this looks like in practice. What you'll notice is very, very little human touch, and as much as it may not seem complicated, realize that in the real world, when you don't have these type of robotics, you've got a lot of people slinging lumber, and this can be backbreaking work. So the robotics itself takes out a lot of the sort of the kind of the dirty nitty-gritty of manufacturing, and it's pretty exciting stuff when you see it from sort of our standpoint. So listen, Hadi, great to have you here. By the way, it's Hadi's birthday. I think he's turning 40, I think, today. So congratulations on turning 40. But
Thank
happy
you.
to have you here. And Hadi, why don't I just turn it over to you? We'll throw up the presentation. You can walk through it, and then, as I said later, we can open up to any questions anybody has.
Thank you, Paul. Appreciate it. Okay. Thanks for inviting me, Paul, and then your crowd. Your crowd been with us since beginning, and I know sometimes with some of the questions I get from once in a while on Twitter and stuff from them, and the middle of the night, it annoys me a bit. But I love you guys, and I appreciate your support since day one. That you're a big fan, and you're part of a family. I'm really glad, and I'm happy to share. You've been part of the first group for us to share this information with you, and we have some of our leadership team here on this call too. For some of them that they are here for first time, so I'm really excited about them to see and get introduced. Like they've always been, they're great people in the trust business and the business world, but now to see what we actually do in the publicly trading part of the business too there. So I'm excited to have them there late on a Friday afternoon, especially some of them all the way from New Brunswick. That is 5:30 right now to Ontario and Regina and here. So thank you for everybody who's been here, and I'm excited to share the next chapter with, of AEP with everybody there. And this is the beginning. This is the beginning, exciting addition to the journey we started 5 years ago. Now this is another addition to it. So shall I go through the pitch deck there, Paul?
That's the plan. Yep.
Okay, but
There you go.
okay. So basically, you saw the beginning was Jake that we are introducing robotic manufacturing into the truss industries and our businesses across the country. And then we are one of the first ones that is taking the plunge and making a commitment to go for the robotic technology in our business in the truss industries in Canada. And there's a couple of family bigger players in the US do it, and Builders First Choice, they have a few plants that they use the same host of designs in United States and Australia and Europe there. This is a 5-year-old technology. It's been around for about 4 or 5 years, and it's getting better and better as we go along. And we, the first one, we're proud to actually start implementing that to our business. And how we're going to start it is we're going to build one brand new facility that we announced. We purchased another piece of land adjacent to extra land we had next to Clinton facility there. So we're going to have one brand new facility at Clinton, and we're going to have another facility on LCF's land in New Brunswick. We have a brand part of the, when we bought the business, there is a nice brand new, almost new building there that we were using for storage, that it could become a perfect robotic truss plant for us, the manufacturing plant. So we're going to implement that there, and we're going to implement another one in high tech we already have there. Then we're going to implement robotic technology in our high tech in British Columbia there. So we're going to start with these 3 factories right off the bat. And on the right side of this pitch deck, you will see that number 100% and 50%. Basically, the magic with robot is you reduce your labor by almost 50 in the range of 50%, and you increase your productivity by 100%. That is where the magic of it happens. And when I started doing the research and heard about all of this stuff there about 5 years ago, we were really more interested into the labor shortage and the future problems we have in construction and the labor shortage. But it's one of those things, and usually in life or business, anything, you start a journey, and there is certain stuff you know, and there are certain stuff you go learn. You read books, you take courses, you ask questions, you learn. There is certain stuff that you don't know that comes up, and that's where the magic and the miracle starts to happen. And the one thing I noticed about the robots, the AI technology, everything, is that magic. And the area of you don't know is happening. Like I did not know it, that they come up with the technology. They didn't even know it, that we could actually implement robotic in our existing factory. That is the exciting part. That the 7-8 facilities we have, we can turn those into robotics by making adjustment to the building and some of the machineries. And that is the real exciting. So you can turn that around, and you can build the brand new facilities across the country. The biggest number is the increasing the productivity by 100% and reducing your labor by 50% too. That is magical numbers. And the financials, we show it on your return on investment. And the part I love about it is because we are growing faster and faster in our wall panel and paneling and component manufacturing business. Robots are not going to take over the human beings anymore. Robots going to implement to the demand of the marketplace and what we need to manufacture. So we can move our labor force around, we can move our experienced people around and implement with the robots, so we be able to answer the supply and the demand and the market, what the market needs from us. Next slide there, please. Okay, so I mentioned it actually, and there's the 100% productivity and the 50% labor, and the geographic coverage is for the Clinton area. We're going to cover and get really aggressive in the United States. We put up a news release yesterday about the first contract we got in Michigan, one of the significant contracts. That's we put up, that one is significant, and the developer and the builder are a significant builder across US. And it's given us the confidence and the capacity for the future that we can start becoming aggressive. Right? We are getting business in US right now, but usually I didn't plan to get that kind of magnitude of business right away there. We were looking at future, having the sales force, getting ready, get the market ready and stuff in line with the robots. But the gravy is we got some major business. So we're going to cover the Ontario market and US much more aggressive, much heavier than we can do right now because of the capacity and capability we're going to have by next 18 months then. And the expected timeline for this brand new facility, the actual robots takes about 12 months to set up, to order, program, and set up. But because we're building a brand new facility there, we are right now, the building's designed, the contract for the building has been signed. And right now we're just going through the permit process with all the electricals, all the bureaucratic rate caps, everything, that we are just going through that permit process. And we are fortunate and lucky. Clinton area is one of the easier areas to develop and build buildings. And so we just waiting for the building to be done and the robots get going in that place there. But approximately it's about 12 to 24 months. Next one there, please, Jake. The existing facilities, robotic implementation is you're looking at anywhere from 10 to 16 months. Right now we are in the process of LCF, and we're doing the final touches on the machineries there and high tech. And they are about 10 to 16 months. And it will give us the capability of covering the British Columbia, the Quebec, the Atlantic Canada, and United States again. So we will increase our capacity to be able to go market our product in those areas and get more aggressive on the component and the wall panel system too. And the same increase, the 50% and 100% is that number is the magic number. And this is a very conservative number, by the way. So it's not a pie in the sky, and it's not a very low. No, it's that range is the one of very conservative number for us. Next one, Jake, please. We seen. So this is where the most amazing part there is. That if you look at the chart on some of our existing plan, the average facility with 30 people, depending to the lumber prices at these days prices, or if you go with board feet, we will do about 4 million board feet with 30 people on the shop floor. And that translates about $13 million. That's a typical facility. With implementing robotic, you only need 6 people, and you will do 4.6 million board feet. with the same one shift. So instead of needing 30 people, you need only 6 people. And you will do more. You will do about 500,000 board feet extra, around $15 million. But when it comes with the robot, it's much easier to implement second and third shift because of the labor and the toll on your body and a different type of employees. Now, for 12 people, you will do about 9.2 million board feet or $30 million. For 18 people, for 3 shifts, you will do an average of 13.8 million board feet or $45 million worth of truss business. And that $45 million has these days lumber average prices, and it's low. That is the amazing revolution and the breakthrough happens in our industries, what the robots will do with you in the productivity. Next one there, please. And the return on it is investment and the utilization, 67 robotic utilization, we've taken that number to be conservative again, is 5 times, up to 5 times for the high tech, up to 2 times for LCF, and up to 1 time brand new robotic facility. That's where the return investment is for us.
Yeah, I think this is an important slide because if you take a look, so each individual facility is a little bit different, but as far as the capacity increase for high tech, utilizing this type of robotics at a 67% utilization. So we're talking about 2/3 of the sort of the capacity being utilized. You're looking at a 400 to 500% increase in capacity. That's a tremendous amount of increased capacity with the same sort of labor. The payback here is less than a year. That's the staggering piece here, is that it far cheaper to implement this than it would be to go and make an acquisition. With LCF, because trusses are a sort of, call it a lesser percentage of the overall revenue, you're looking at a 100 to 200% increase in capacity for trusses in that one facility alone. So it's a dramatic increase. And then when we talk about the sort of 50 to 100% increase in capacity because of the new facility, that's on the overall business. So the increase, we almost double our truss manufacturing capacity from that one facility over and above the other sort of 7 facilities that we have across the country. And this is all at a 67% robotic utilization. If we were to see higher utilization, of course, that number expands pretty significantly here. So sorry, Hadi, I had to jump in there.
No, that's great. I appreciate you doing that. Thank you.
Yeah.
But the next one there, Jake, please. Okay. Yeah, and basically the map, we put it in the areas that we are doing right now there, and then we have future that those red pictures, robot pictures, will be all over Canada. And the other provinces that we are working on, existing work we are doing in the pipeline for M&A, we will have more of those strategically placed in the map there. But for now, if you see, we are covering British Columbia, Ontario, and Maritimes. And those are the areas right now that the demand and the construction is very heavy, and the demand is going to be really heavy. And that's where we are. We have a very strong factories, manufacturing facilities, manufacturing sales force, and we're going to utilize that by and give them more power by utilizing the robots in those areas. But the plan would be, and the strategy will be, to have them in the rest of the country and have them in strategically placed in different parts of the country as well.
Yeah, and I think another thing that's important to realize here is that this alters somewhat what our M&A strategy looks like, because of course, with robotics and the economics that robotics drives for the business, it allows us to actually have a wider footprint to sort of draw from in terms of demand. So if an old facility used to work within a 300-mile radius, now we're talking a potentially 6,000 to 1,000-mile radius if necessary. The investment now goes away from labor and more into trucking. So now we can ship further. So what that does, of course, is it means we don't necessarily have to buy a facility 100 or 200 miles away to get into that market. We can now go into that market through one, either a Clinton facility or, let's say, LCF or high tech, because the economics allow us to do that. And then keep in mind, this announcement we had yesterday with our new partnership in the U.S. Notice that all these facilities are all located within about 100 miles or there, give or take, of the U.S. border. So we are now able to really position to go south and try to extract business from markets down there as well. Next slide.
Next
Should we
slide,
jump
please.
to the next slide? That might be the last one.
That
It
is
is the
it.
last one. There
This
you
is the
go.
last one. I love this pitch deck. It's not too long.
Nice and short, right? We
Yeah, nice
we like
and
short pitch decks. I think the big takeaways I want to make sure everybody has from the presentation is robotics is a real game changer for the industry in a number of ways. One is obviously, you know, that labor component or the drop in costs around labor. And I can't emphasize this enough. Like when this is backbreaking work, right? This is not sort of somebody coming in and pushing a pencil type of work that we're taking away. This is hard work that is very difficult to have somebody, you know, work 5 days a week, let alone, you know, more than that, or work a second shift or a third shift. The robots take the real menial hard work out of the way, and it allows us to draw from a better pool of candidates for employees. It allows the existing employees to work on other products. Like, you know, our capacity right now for wall panels, for example, is very strained. This robotics is going to allow us to open up more capacity for wall panels. So it has a big impact that way. It also has a big impact because of the seasonality of this business and what that does to our labor pool. It dramatically changes that. So think about, you know, LCF, for example, in the winter time, it's slower because there's snow. It's winter, and you're not seeing as much demand for product. If you have to have a steady set of staff so that when things are busy in summer, you have that staff there. So you can't necessarily let people go in the winter because you need them for the summer. With robotics, you're able to better manage that flow of staff. Not that, you know, this is not an effort on our part to get rid of people. What we want is to make sure that there's even more demand and more product manufacturing required so that our staff are now better utilized. That's really what the end game is here. So there's a whole bunch of factors that robotics does to improve this business. And, you know, and then the other big question that usually comes is, okay, great, you've increased your capacity by 2x or 3x in some cases. Where are you going to get that demand? Well, we showcased yesterday where we're going to start to get some of that demand. It's going to be in markets that we don't traditionally sell into. So now, you know, now part of the exercise is not only do we look at what the housing starts statistics look like in Canada, we have to start looking at housing starts and the numbers and the demographics in the US as well, because that's another market we're going into. So, you know, this is a game changer for our industry. It's certainly a game changer for our business. We are the first to really lead out there with this aggressive approach for robotics. And you can tell both Hadi and myself are excited. I'm actually losing my voice. I'm so excited. So with that, I don't know if Hadi, if you want to add anything more, but certainly open to questions if anybody has them.
No, it really, all I can add is for me and my team, we always knew, we've been in this business for a long time. And the slowdown of last year because of the interest rate wasn't the end of the world. We've seen lots of ups and downs in our industry in the past. You can never expect to be busy like we were 2021 and 2022. And one fact we know, so there's always that up and down, and you need to slow down and take a breather and plan stuff for the future. But one fact we always know, there is a biggest shortage of housing in the country. There is a big need for component manufacturing because of the labor shortage in the construction. So we have to come up with a solution. And one solution we always had in the past was, yes, most of our plants are all automated below robotic level, but up to yesterday's standard, we were very automated machinery, saws, machines, everything. But at the end, we all had the anxiety, my God, where are we going to find the labor to work for us? Because they don't just grow up that fast anymore. They are not in the school anymore. And we don't have that labor, and we don't have an immigration system to bring that kind of labor in the country there. Or if they come after 2 years, they find something else in Canada. Plus, we have a government that doesn't breed hard work. It brings, take it easy and take a day off, we pay you. So those are all the challenges we have in business when you're in construction. And then once you see the robots coming out, that gives you a sigh of relief. Never mind about increasing productivity, all of that stuff. It gives you a sigh of relief. You can actually build the orders and ship them. Nothing worse than, like I have my people here, nothing worse than when a developer will build the phones you and swears at you and says, where are my trusses? When basically, physically, you can't manufacture them anymore because you don't have the people anymore. And that was the relief for us that is there. And we are fortunate too. I always wonder, why did we go public? We could have done it with a PE firm. We could have done this. We could have done a private. But I see it now. We went public for a reason. And the reason is this robotics, because we have the power to invest this kind of money and be a long-term thinkers. So we are not thinking about 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 5 year, 10 year. We're thinking about the next 50 years or 100 years, because I don't have to worry about retirement from selling Atlas or whatever. Or it's not an individual owner that has to worry about his exit, retirement, or whatever, his or her exit or retirement. This is about the future that we're working on for our industry, our really industry, our family, our workforce, everything. That robotic gives us the excitement and gives us the answer for being able to supply and meet the demands out there, and gives us the solution. Because we do have, first you have the anxiety to create the market and make the sales happen. Then the next anxiety of how we're going to design it and manufacture it and ship it. Because that takes that anxiety away, that now you can go build your business. Building a business is fun. Going, grabbing new territories, getting orders, everything. That's the fun part. And robot makes it funner now because we can deliver it on time.
I mean, we certainly started over the last couple of years with the pandemic and things like that. But there were times that a number of our locations actually hit capacity where the salesmen actually can't go out and sell anymore. And to some degree, some of our facilities are going to see that again here very shortly, especially going into the busier summer months. That flexibility, I can't stress enough, that flexibility of robotics to be able to basically turn on a switch and increase your capacity without having to have that big influx of staff is a game changer. And the other thing that this does too is it allows us to have a lot more ability to control our future in the way that we actually go and sell, right? So we're not completely beholden to the local markets, sort of demand. I mean, just the Canadian housing starts as an example. Like we don't just sit there and wait for orders to come in. Now we can actually go and expand our market and go into the States, make the kind of partnerships that we just discussed, and have, play offense on a much more sort of solid basis here. So again, really, really important in terms of highlighting that. I got a couple questions that came directly to me, and I'll answer them right now. It says, hey, Paul, didn't catch it, but did you mention, is anyone else in the truss industry using robotics, or is Atlas the first company using this? So no, I mean, these robots are actually tried and tested predominantly in the US. So House of Design, the robotic company that we're working with, actually call it off-the-shelf robots. It's a company called ABB. They're well known for building robotics for a whole bunch of different industries. House of Design actually runs the firmware and the software that runs these. But that being said, Builders First Source and a few other very large companies in the US have been using this type of robotics for a while, specifically House of Design. What we're looking at, though, is like second, third, maybe even fifth generation robotics that we're starting to implement now. So they've gone through a whole bunch of improvements, and we're starting to catch them now well after they've been tried and tested, but with a significant amount of improvements involved. As far as Canada, in the truss company, or sort of the truss industries, as far as we know, we're either the first, or there may be at least maybe one other company, but there's nobody doing it at the scale that we're doing it.
No. And then with the truss robotics, there is two companies. One in Finland, and one in the US, House of Design. They have that technology. The Finland one, we look at it too, but their system is different. I like this one, but plus you can manufacture floor trusses with this with the robotic system. They only did trusses, and they have some in Australia. A couple of big corporations in Australia, they use them, and Builders First use them in US, and a couple of other big groups use them. And then really, we are in this size and stuff that we are one of the front runners for the trusses in Canada to use it.
Okay, Greg asks, as with any new technology implementation, it can take longer or output can be lower in early stages. Would you say that the timeline is optimistic or conservative? I mean, from what I all understand, we're kind of in the middle. We're not trying to be too conservative. We're certainly not trying to be too optimistic. One of the nice things about working with House of Design is that there's actually they will staff it, like they will put a person on site. I think it's for what, a month or 3 months, I can't remember, to make sure that it's optimally running by the time that it's necessary. So there's some fail-safe sort of mechanisms put in place to make sure that, you know, as few sort of as many of the bugs that we hit are addressed very, very quickly. All right. A few people have said happy birthday, Hadi. So Jill's says happy birthday.
Thank you. I love that. I love that comment, Bill. Thank you.
Good timing.
And
We didn't
somebody
realize that we had scheduled it on your birthday.
Somebody sent the cake emojis too. So thank you. That was wonderful.
Yeah, I was going to say we should have some balloons or something in the background.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
I'm embarrassed for my birthday at my age. My God.
So Gilles says, will a fully robotic plant in Clinton consume more electricity than conventional truss plant? He says the answer is yes. Can the utility company supply the power required by the robotic plant? I don't think this has ever been a.
And then no, actually no. That's a great question. And no, the not the robotics, no. And the machineries you saw that the robots work on are the machineries we already have, like the tables from Alpine. We have lots of those tables around the country or similar to them. No, they don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I have Lindsay and Jamie on the call here too, that they are very, very vested into this technology. They are the ones who spearheaded doing the research, the negotiation. If you know anything, guys, just chip in there, please. There, I don't think they need any more power. No, absolutely not. No, unless they, no.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Gilles also asked, which plant can manufacture wall panels? So which of our facilities across the country manufacture wall panels?
Already at existing, we have Pacer in
London.
Ontario, that does out of Ontario, LCF, and in Atlas Building System in BC, in Nanaimo, does wall panels, yes.
So currently we have 3 facilities.
3 facilities.
Yeah.
And then we have on the plans in the pipeline, few more implementing it. We're just looking at buildings, everything there, where to do it, to expand the rest of the country, yeah. Yeah,
exactly. Now, which plant is expected to supply that West Haven partnership we just announced?
Pacer, that comes from London, Ontario.
London.
That's our biggest operation there in Ontario.
Yeah. Okay, so what are the obligations of each party in the partnership between Atlas and West Haven Builders? Is there any exclusivity clause? How long is the partnership for?
No exclusivity, no clause there. And basically, we just have a relationship with them. They like our design, they like our services, and they given us basically all of the projects as far as we can supply them, and they will deal with us. Like that's the thing with the trusses is and the walls and the floors. Once you start that partnership with them and you start designing their projects and works from grounds up, so it's not an exclusive thing, but it's almost an exclusive thing because you are the partners to design the building. That's why sometimes we know what we have coming up ahead in 6 months or a year. We have already started the groundwork with some of those major works that we have that, and really other than that, no exclusivity, anything, no.
And what surprised me in this partnership is they've expressed interest in shipping as far as Texas, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, they doing the logistics for Texas and rest of the states. Now, all the dollars and cents have to line up and all the budget and costing, because they have a numerous contract for this company to build senior homes across the U.S. for this company. They are a major commercial builder. They build malls, senior homes, apartment blocks, everything. So they are doing their budgeting and stuff there, and they would come and pick it up. And we've had, before COVID, in the past, we have had clients from US that they would come and pick up the stuff. They would send their trucks to come and pick them up there because it would be FOB London there.
Yeah. And then the other question that Jules has is West Haven Builders interested in participating in Atlas Capital? I don't think that's ever been brought up in discussion.
It's a weird one. No, I have not asked them, and I don't usually ask them. And a lot of time later on, but we have a few big clients that they are major shareholders of Atlas, like and then even therefore, by the way, thanks for making me rich in your site. I'm making more money than the last building I built and sold and stuff there, and thanks for doing it. So it's one of those things that because Yeah, builders are a different breed too. They don't just tell you everything. Next thing you know, they own a few 100,000 shares or 1 million shares in the company too. So
yeah, but that's actually been an interesting experience over the last couple of years. You'd be surprised at how many large shareholders are in the industry, and there are, they're customers of ours, or they know the industry well enough to know what the future looks like. There's been a number of large, I don't want to say necessarily clients, but people in the construction industry that know where we fit, and they become very obviously happy shareholders, but some of them very large shareholders. So
and then
it wouldn't be unusual to all of a sudden find out that West Haven or the owners there turned out to be investors, but we don't know for sure.
Yeah, and
it's certainly not a requirement. Yeah.
No, not a requirement. No. And what I love about it is with the West Haven is when I was speaking to him myself and got to know him, it really there was nothing about the price or anything. All he loved was how we helped him design the buildings and how he was comfortable with our sales team and the ops manager and the design team. When he went to Pacer to visit them, like they explained everything to him, how everything's going to fit. At our stage, that is more important to them because they lock in the building up. Because don't forget, it's in Michigan. It's the weather, it's the ice road travel, everything. You have 8 months to work everything. And the same as LCF. They deal with the LCF and our operation there because they are very serious about shipping trusses, floors, and walls all together on time. Because they have 8 months in a year to finish all the projects before the snow starts again. Everything shuts down. And so they want you to deliver on time. So they don't sit down in a boardroom and beat you up for the price and stuff. And they are more concerned about how good the design is and how fast you can deliver it and whether you can deliver it on time. Mm-hmm. And that is really because it's a pivotal point in a building is those trusses and the floors and the walls. It can make the project go as fast as you can, or it can just kill the project for another year. So that is very important. And for our side, sometimes you're hungry, you will deal with the client who's going to beat you at the price and stuff. But client that size, if they start emphasizing price, you better walk away because that $800,000, it will cost you few $100,000 more on not making profit because that's all they care about is the bottom line. You're not going to make money on it.
Okay, so Hadi, this is a question from Russell. It says, do you plan to expand or partner to cover Alberta plus the states below Alberta? Or is that area already too competitive? I would say the prairies. Let's call it the prairies, not just Alberta, because Saskatchewan, Manitoba, obviously, right?
Well, we would love to be in Saskatchewan first. And Alberta, there's been a couple of opportunities in the past, but the right fit wasn't there yet. The moment there is a right fit, and the right opportunity comes for Alberta, will be there too. Alberta's a different market. It's a different market. It's never been one of my #1 favorite markets in the world in my past businesses, but it has to make sense. We don't want to just go to a province just to be in a province there, or buy a plant just to be there. It has to make sense, and it has to be a right fit for us. And if it's a right fit, we are very conservative. We will do that. But at the moment, I haven't seen one that'll be a right fit yet in Alberta. Otherwise, we love to be there. And Alberta is great because it seems the whole country goes north, they go south. We go south, they go north. We start getting busy, they get quiet. Now they are booming. Then they will go around opposite to us. But yeah, one day the right fit comes, we'll go to Alberta, but it hasn't come yet. Now, Saskatchewan's a different ballgame. I love that, the steady market, the agricultural, the growth. It's a great market, and we will go there one day.
Perfect. Okay, so Jennifer asked the question I was waiting for. She says, this sounds expensive. Can you talk about where the money is coming from to set up this operation? Any cash flow issues? Well, we've got Melissa. Melissa's online, so when it comes to cash flow, she's our expert. But I'll start off by saying, so especially the two sort of expansion components for high tech and LCF. Both are less than $4 million kind of all in to get those facilities properly up and running. So that is easily handled from our balance sheet. We've got, arguably about $7 or $8 million in cash and another $7 million in line of credit that we haven't utilized at all. So there's about $15 million in workable sort of balance sheet there. But also keep in mind that we don't need the money all up front. So a lot of this is stage payments. So you require that capital over time. When it comes to the big facility, same thing. It's expected to be sort of over the course of 2 years. And by then we will have seen sufficient new cash flow to come in as well. That being said, there are options in terms of how we go and add cash to the business, either through utilizing some more debt, which certainly the bankers have had no problem with that. And then we have had interest from investment bankers in terms of raising equity. I can tell you from my discussions with Hadi, we're not in a rush to go and raise equity at these levels. But it's certainly there. There's a lot of different options that are available to us right now in terms of especially funding the early stages of this. And like I said, we feel very confident that at least the first 2 facilities we can easily do with our existing cash and balance sheet. So I don't know if anybody wants to add to that. I don't know if Melissa wants to jump in and say anything I may have said offside, or Hadi, if I covered it, then we can go on to the next question.
Perfect. That's perfect.
All right.
That's
Perfect.
amazing. Thank you. Yeah, that's great.
Okay, Hiransh says the companies that have implemented those primary generation robots in the industry, what was their performance before and after implementation, if there are publicly listed comps? So I'm not aware of any companies that have gone out. Certainly none of the public companies have gone out and disclosed the before and after. So we're not fully aware of that. I can tell you there's a company in the US that has implemented robotics. They were so impressed with the economics that they actually went and bought a big piece of one of the robotic companies and more or less has an exclusive arrangement there. So that leads us to believe that the numbers were compelling enough for them to get very aggressive and almost lock out some of their competitors. Now, thankfully, that's not the case for House of Design. So there's the bottom line is there's very little data that we can work from other than our own modeling that we've done to justify these numbers.
And Paul, the numbers you see by us working with hosted design and the numbers we are putting out there consecutively is the numbers they got from the feedback from the plants they have implemented. Mm-hmm. And that's, you see, and this is one of the things about Easter, even with, I've seen it with the Builders First and stuff, there are some videos on YouTube about them saying their efficiency, but they don't put the numbers of one of the part there is there about truss industries in Canada. They love us and they hate us because we start publishing numbers and secrets out there. Because publicly traded company, you gotta announce all of the numbers and stuff there, right? Because we always think we know some secret. We don't want the competition to know that. And that's what happened with the robotics in US. However, the numbers we have from hosted design, they are verified from their experience and all the work they've done in the last few years with the existing truss plants and stuff there. And we use their numbers. And then we have visited with my team, with Lindsay and Manny. We went and visited one. And we saw the operation. We spent a few hours there watching them working and spoken to a lot of people about them and stuff there. Plus, once you I spent all my life most of my life building trusses too in a factory. Once I go see the machines working and you can see it, and after 5 minutes, I've seen enough. But like we spend time, but I've seen enough what the machine does. Because I used to do it with hand. And I'm trying to walk straight at lunchtime, so.
And what do you call these robots now, Hadi?
Oh, the ballerinas there.
Ballerinas, yeah.
They truly are ballerinas. They're gorgeous, gorgeous ballerinas there,
I love that.
I need a life sometimes, Paul.
Okay, so Gilles asks, when Atlas reaches 500 million in revenue, Atlas will be purchasing a lot more wood. Yes, indeed. Does Atlas have partnerships with lumber supplier? We have various agreements with lumber suppliers, distributors, and things like that. Maybe describe some of the advantages we have already.
Yeah, what we do, like in the one, like you say, that the magic numbers are the 500 million, like the 100 million is like the same as the capital market with the micro cap and the institutional. With the lumber was, once you hit the $30 million, $50 million, $70 million revenues, there are different partnerships. But the first one we had was, that is significant for us, is with Boise Cascade for our engineer wood, for our engineer floor. Because a lot of apartment blocks you see that they're building for rentals all across Canada, and they have the flat roof. A lot of them, those roofs are engineered wood. Right now, we recently signed a contract for $2 million. 1.4 million of it is engineered wood products. That is floors and trusses. And they use the floors for the trusses too. And the rest of it is walls or trusses there. So that was the first one we made last year, because before that they wouldn't. We didn't have the size. Now we are national. We have that. With the lumber, you have to be careful, because not all the mills manufacture the lumbers we use. We use 2M butter or a structural lumber, and even the 2M butter has to be a special lumber, because when you buy a lifter lumber, if you don't buy it from the right mill, you could end up throwing 50, 40, 25, 30% of that lumber away, because it has knots on it, it has vein on it, everything. So you can manufacture it if you not go through the quality control there. So we have a deal with a Canadian engineer wood that they are a broker, but they are specialized in buying lumber from the mills, picking up lumber from the mills that is good lumber for the trusses. And we have a vendor management inventory on it. That way we don't have to wake up every morning and worry about the lumber price fluctuation. They will store it in our yard, and then we pay for it when we open it to manufacture and ship it. So because we are not into a lumber yard business, we are a manufacturer, and lumber is one of our products to supply. And really at the end, like, I have looked at mills come to us and wanted to have a partnership, everything. It's such a crazy volatile market that you wake up every morning, everything changes. I have never seen a benefit. Then just is that you don't know, you don't know. One day it will come, and if there is a benefit, I'm sure we will do it. Even if it makes 2%, 3% difference, we will do it, because at $500 million, $750 million, and $1 billion revenue, and trust me, we are not that far away. We are not talking about a magic unreachable number in the sky. We will get there soon. At those numbers, 1%, 2% makes a difference. And I'm sure people will talk to us. It's like 3 years ago, if you phone an engineer would, they put the phone down on you. Now they come kiss your hand. Now, in a year or so, yeah, the lumber guys will come and do that too there. But we are not big enough for them. And I don't know if that's significant. Plus, me and our operation managers, they have to be confident about the product. Because some of the products you got to be careful with. You could throw it away.
Yeah. And obviously, as we have as we grow in size and we've got more purchasing power, then obviously you got more negotiating power. So it'll be interesting to see how how that looks as time progresses here. So Russell asks, are you able to utilize rail as well as trucking?
A great question.
Mm-hmm.
I have actually great question. I've never never come across it, and we have our own logistic, and it's one of those things. If you have a rail, you got to take it, load it up, then they got to unload it, and I don't know. I've never looked at it. No, it's a great question. Well done. You got me shut up.
You stumped them a little bit. That's good.
Wow, Russell, happy birthday to you too, man. Thank you.
Okay, another question from Gilles. What do you mean by Atlas Designs, the senior living facility in Kimball? Was the building not designed by an architect? How much does Atlas charge for design?
No.
Maybe talk a bit about this, because in general, like designing the trusses is actually very specialized.
Yeah.
And that's one of the expertise or skill sets that we have across the country. So it's not just this project. This is pretty standard.
So there is different stages of a design for a building, right? So they design a building, and some architects do them, or most of them do it, or the houses. You design it and you put a roof on that looks pretty. You have the pitch on it, everything, and you have the roof, and it's good. But when it comes to us, we have to take that roof out and design a roof that it will fit, and it will look like that, like a jigsaw puzzle. Not only will it fit like that, so an architect will come and say, okay, the roof's got to look like this with 2-page, 3-page, and this angle, that angle. So our designers take that look of that roof and all the information we have, and they will design the roof that all the pieces will go together and they will fit together like a jigsaw puzzle. Then we have to design in a way that it will meet the code requirement in terms of the snow load, wind load, all of those loads for the requirement of that area, that specific area. And it will have to meet the structural loading requirement for the snow. And then the next step is If they want the floor, we have to design it that the roof and floor, they meet a structural demand. Then if they want the walls, you design the walls to go to it. So because we are not an off-site framing company, we don't take a job that like a framer does it on a job site. These days they rent a warehouse, they do it on a wooden bench inside the warehouse, ship it on the site and put it up. We are a component manufacturer. So then you design it in a way that the roof, the floor, and the walls, you unpack it, you put it together, and you give them a map, you give them a layout, and everything goes bang. They all three pieces go together. And that is what that's what we mean by design. Then we have, once we ship it, once they get before the lockup, they get the permit for inspection that they get for their framing inspection before the lockup. We have to supply them all the engineering drawing stamped by a professional engineer that will be manufactured just to a specific of the building code and that requirement of that building. That is called, that's what we do, is the design work within the actual concept and the design. Now, there are certain cases I've had clients send me a site map and give me an idea and say, can you ask your guys, your designers, to put show me, tell me what a roof looks like, should look like on this building. And the other one is the biggest thing we have to be careful in certain areas, not so much on the prairies and stuff, is the height of the roof because of the view. For example, British Columbia, you can only go so high in certain areas where the ocean is and the trees are and stuff. So those are the kind of things we have to be careful. That's where the design comes in. So they don't just send you a plan and send it to 10 different people and get a price and apple to apple. No, the design is very important.
Good, perfect. Okay, so Evans asks, does Atlas now plan to compete in the Toronto and Vancouver metro markets previously described as too competitive or low margin?
We supply in both areas, but if they give us the price. Yeah, we don't need to go in those markets and sell jobs to work for nothing, no. But yeah, we have clients in those markets. We have good clients in those markets that we get the price we want. Yeah, it's not good to work for nothing.
Yeah. So if the price is right, absolutely go into those markets. Yeah, that's the way to describe it. Yeah.
And now robots changes the margin picture. We don't know yet the exact number. One day Melissa comes and says, hey, your margin improved by 5%, 10%, 20%. And if we need capacity, if we need more orders and stuff, maybe we go to that area. But because you want to meet that margin, you want to meet that margin requirement for the year.
Okay, so next question I've got from Jennifer. It says, it looked like there was another plant relatively closer to Clinton facility. Are you going to end up stealing market share from your own business when you upgrade to more efficient robotics? No, quite the opposite. Look at this as really an expansion of the existing facility and the client base that's there. This is not, we're not cannibalizing any of our own business. Right? That's the way to describe
absolutely
it.
Not.
Yeah.
No,
there
absolutely
you go.
not.
There you go. Perfect.
No,
perfect.
there are 7 truss plants in that vicinity. We have 2 of them. There are 5 more out there, and they do a lot of businesses. So
yeah,
and not all of us go to US. Maybe 2 of us or 3 of us go to US. US is huge for us.
Yeah.
And don't forget, don't forget, the 2022 volume was huge, and one of it was the lumber. We keep forgetting about the demand for housing in Canada, and the starts needs to happen, not just for housing for people to buy, it's people to live in and rentals. There are a lot of demands out there, and there are lots of permits being applied but haven't started yet because they're waiting for the interest rates and everything. So there are lots happening, and there is lots of government talking and incentive programs coming on and stuff there. So there's a huge revolutions happening in our industry.
There's another thing that you reminded me, Hadi, is that there are builders that are actually waiting now. There's a ton of government initiatives that are being implemented right now, everything from federally all the way down to municipal levels. And what's happening is builders are actually waiting to see what those initiatives look like and if there's any funding that they have access to. So in some ways, some of the government initiatives that have been talked about have actually delayed some of the housing starts. So as builders start to understand and municipalities start to sort of clear cut some of the bureaucracies, these builders are now they're sort of more prepared to go. But some of that's actually delayed. So it's not just interest rates, it's actually some of the government initiatives that have slowed down some of the building as well. So I think that's another thing to watch out for.
I mean, I'm not knocking them, by the way. They're great. Right now, the building's designed, the land is purchased, everything's done. We wait 12 weeks to get it designed, by engineers. They are not the fastest people out there either. And they work as government pays to move a sewage line from middle property to edge of property. That's a 12-week process. Then you have the HVAC, the electrical, the mechanical, everything. All of those drawings need to be submitted to the city. Then you got to wait another 8 weeks for approval. So,
yeah, so we're witnessing some of the
yeah,
bureaucracy
and
ourselves,
you
yeah.
always do allow that for that time. Otherwise, yeah. So there's 8 weeks here, 8 weeks there, 10% fee here, 20% fee down there, and God bless the politicians. They forget to talk about that.
Yeah, yeah.
They forget about, oh, maybe that red tape is the one we got to cut down. But God, good luck if you're going to cut it.
Yeah, there's no shortage of red tape for sure.
Now, don't go into politics now. Let's stick to robots.
I was going to say, I'm trying to divert you a little bit away from politics. Otherwise, we both go crazy.
Yeah, let's
here.
stick to robot. Yeah,
exactly.
No, I mean,
let's stick to
you
the
go do it.
ballerinas.
You want to paint the front door of your house. You got to go and make sure the heritage department doesn't.
Stop it, Hadi. Stop it. Okay, so Gilles asked a question that I think Melissa's going to have to answer if she's on here. Okay, he says, how quickly will the robots and the new automatic equipment be amortized? Maybe Melissa, if you can jump on, that'd be great thing for myself to know as well. How do you amortize that equipment?
That's tough.
So we have I mean, if we're talking accounting and everything, we have our policies that we do the 30% double declining on that equipment we actually work off of per CRA rates in Canada. So you're probably looking at the bulk of it would be in the first 3 to 5 years, which would be amortized on our books.
Gotcha. And do we have an idea of sort of the lifespan of this sort of stuff? Hadi, do we know? I mean, has House of Design given any indication of sort of how long do we think the majority of this stuff is going to last? I'm sure there's parts that wear out and stuff like that, but is this?
There are certain parts we replace, like especially those parts you pick up the lumber and stuff there. You replace those regularly with the cups and stuff there. But I thought the actual thing lasts a long time. But Manny or Lindsay, did you guys know what was it? 10 years or 15 years? Like there are certain parts last forever, right? Like
we've got saws that are. I mean, some of the automated equipment does last a long time, but I gotta imagine there's sort of a useful life. Some of these components that we have to look at.
If you look at it, the software is the software and the mechanical arm. Now the factory we saw, they upgraded the arm, so it was faster and more agile and stuff there. So otherwise, I think they have their life expectancy of 15, 20 years.
Yeah.
So I think I'm jumping in here. It's Lindsay.
Lindsay.
Thank
you.
Hello. I've been dealing with House of Design very extensively on this stuff. So after I think it's like between the 6th and 7th year, they come in and actually do a fair bit of a rebuild on the equipment again to bring it back up, because it's a continually changing piece. They've been in some of the plants that we were in every year and a half. We're changing certain arms and upgrading and doing things, and it's all part of our program that we pay for as we on a yearly basis. Then more major things. Obviously, in 10 years, it's not going to be the fastest robot out there anymore. So we hope to just kind of keep up with it then that way. So it'll be a bit of a continual upgrade program for sure. But some of the tracks and the main equipment just it'll just run forever.
Yeah. No, awesome. Thank you so much, Lindsay.
Thank you, Lindsay. That was Lindsay, or GM for the Prairies. He used to be the owner at SC. A great young man in our team. A great leader in our team. So.
Right on. Okay, Evan asks, with the increased focus on shipping, are there plans to invest in newer, more fuel-efficient trucks? I mean, not immediately, but as
the trucks we buy right now, they got that catalytic converters for the air and for the emission and stuff there. And yeah, of course, if there's a time once it's a proven track record of trucks, electrical trucks and stuff, because we replace our trucks every few years. Like you can only drive them for so many years. We will go there. It's just like any other industry. If it's something cheaper, better, faster, trust me, we'll be on there too, right away.
Mhm.
See, you can't have a robot and have an old clunker drive delivering it, right? Once you have a robot, you got a Lamborghini driving trusses then, for God's sake. Of course, an
Exactly.
electric Lamborghini there, right? No, we will do that. Yeah,
Yeah.
with me, Lindsay, Manny on the call, Mars, and even Kevin from LCF, we watch the new trend of machineries every day and stuff there. And if there is something that's going to make it better and for us and environment, absolutely, we'll be on it right away. Yeah.
Okay, I got a really interesting question. I want to hear the answer from Russell. Hadi, if you could add a plant anywhere in North America, where would you put it?
A robotic plant?
Well, let's say robotic plant, because I imagine anything new that we're going to build now is going to have this sort of intention, right?
Anywhere in North America, where would I put it? That is an amazing, interesting question, especially asking a guy in my brain. I've got about 20 locations that the plant's going to go there.
Exactly.
So what would be the number one? The number one, I'll probably put it in the middle of Hawaii and I'll go run it myself. How about that? And Melissa wants to go there too, but I'm going to go there and run that place, right? No, honestly, that's a wonderful question. My brain has about 100 locations that the plant's going to go, and don't know. And don't make me go there. But I really want to put it and blow up the marketplace to pieces. But I won't do that either. So
yeah.
Can I not answer that question? Did I fudge the question?
Well, you know what, you did answer it. Yeah, I mean, apart from Hawaii, I think there's a lot of logistic, or a lot of areas that we think there's low hanging fruit. So the one thing I gotta say,
on a serious note, honestly, from my research of the market and our strength and weaknesses in our business and our corporation, the first 3 robotics plan we put in up fits perfectly like a glove for us. Where we are, this first phase fits perfectly for what we are doing and stuff there. Now, if I really had the wish, honestly, for a plant that I would have it tomorrow, it will be a fully robotic that hosted designed it for one company in US in tune of $100 million that they built to put the whole house together. I would put that in the middle of Ontario, close to the highway tomorrow morning. Fully robotic wall panel manufacturing plant tomorrow. That's where my wish is. That's what I'm working on, right? That's what I was
going to say. Don't say too much, because we're going to save some excitement for down the road. There's some bigger and more interesting plans coming down the road here when it comes to robotics, even outside of just
tomorrow.
trusses.
So I said,
I get it. Yeah, I get it.
I saved me a lot of headache by tomorrow. Well, come on, we got to give him something away, right?
Yeah, no, of course. There's more exciting stuff that we're working on, that's for sure. So Gilles, I don't think we use the word billion in revenue, but internally we keep talking about this idea of 500 million in 5 years. So $500 million within that time frame. We see the vision to get there. This is not a pie in the sky number. Through a little bit of M&A and more robotics and just growing our current footprint, we see a clear path to $500 million within 5 years.
We have a runway in that with combination of robotics, wall panel, organic growth wall panel, some more M&As and stuff there. We have a runway of that, and we even have a runway of past $1 billion. We do have that.
Okay, so this is always a tricky question. Gilles asks, what is the expected profit margin of the fully robotic plant? Look, I'm going to preface this question a little bit. Here's the thing. Like, part of it is where we're going to draw the demand from. So I mentioned earlier that some of the advantages that we're going to have through economics of a robotic facility is going to mean that we're going to spend more money on logistics and transportation, so we're shipping out further. So that's going to make up some of the profit margin otherwise. But we're now doing it over a much, much larger number. So there's variables that we have to control. But if you were looking at a sort of a typical sort of standalone one facility that is replacing an existing facility, obviously we expect the profit margin to be significantly better than a sort of, call it an old school facility. But I don't know how else to sort of explain it. I don't know if Melissa wants to jump in or just talk to some of the economics around this. or Hadi, if you know any of these numbers, what can we, at a sort of steady state current facility without going to 3 shifts or something, how do we compare the economics to an existing facility to one with robotics?
In my side, I compared it with how many ops managers you need, how many leaders you need in one operation, how much money, for example, you're going to save by putting it next to Clinton. Because we have a very, very capable operation manager that can run 2 facilities, and he is very trained into all aspects. So, and that one then is, so you don't have to have a high-level operation managers in there and stuff there, and you save that. And mine, I always look at it, just keeping us at that our goal of a 30% margin. Then we've done a return on investment for how fast we can do and stuff that Melissa can explain a little bit more into that, the numbers with you, rather than me messing it all up there. And Mac, do you have those numbers with you? If you want to, you can just share a little bit of it, please, or sorry to put you on the spot there.
No, that's fine. With the
Thank
profit
you.
margin, that's kind of where we're going to play. I mean, we anticipate it to be better than where a standalone traditional handmade truss facility is. But the difference, I think Paul hit it on the head, is in order to grow that revenue, how much further are we going logistically and where are we going in the marketplace? So if we want to hit the $45 million at the 30% margin, like the profits that we're saving on labor, we're going to put into other areas to hit that revenue. Otherwise, we might only hit 20 million in revenue at a slightly higher margin, and the dollars are down. Sorry to go too deep into numbers there, but we're looking towards, Hadi mentioned it, that 30% margin's always been our goal. There's differences between IFRS and internal, but that's our goal.
And then I think the way to conservatively model this out is to assume the same sort of metrics, but over a larger number, right? Like I said, where some of the costs that we save will go into other sort of call investments that will allow us to maintain existing margins, but from a much wider number. There's very few facilities that would be able to do anything like that on their own, as far as any of our competitors.
Paul, and then I give you an example, right? And sometimes you want to be careful. Like, this thing is phenomenal, is transformational in technology, and this is nothing new. I mean, the car industries did it a long time ago, and they went through all of this research. If you do the research on them with all the car industries when they put robots. Like Hosted Design used to have design robots for sneaker factories. They do it, or they build the ladders and stuff there. So it's nothing new we're doing that we know it's going to save us. But mainly I first went at it as a labor. And the example is, when I first ever time when I had started the truss plant, the sawing system, the saws we had were called a metric saw. So you had to set your angles up by hands and cut them. So it was a slow, and the waste was crazy. Okay, so, and the other thing was, the moment I brought in 3 orders, the sawyers were the most expensive, the highest paid people in my shop, and they were the highest maintenance. The moment they see I put 3 orders through the shop, they wanted a raise or a bonus from me right away. They helped me ransom all the time because they were so skilled. So a company, a Spider from New Zealand, brings the saw up and said it costs so much, and you can go cut on there right away. The computer set the angle, you don't need it. So all I cared about was, okay, I don't have to be held ransom by these people anymore, and it will cut it, and then the waste. I calculated the waste, and I calculated the raise that I was saving with the laborers, and I didn't have the money. I just started. I put a second mortgage on my house, and I bought that stuff. And the area I didn't know. It gave me so much capacity in 4 hours. It was more than an 8-hour or a 12-hour shift. It produced in 4 hours that. It reduced my waste, and it gave me a chance to go after bigger clients. And I said, oh my goodness, I can make some serious money with this saw. So I bought another one right away. And I can see this. Now, there is a miracle and phenomenal results going to happen from the robot. But when you increase your capacity, And say what happens is the interest rate doesn't go and the volume and the stuff stays the same. We're going to have to keep our shop busy. People are not just going to lay down there and say, come and take our business away. So you need to be able to compete for that business to feed the machines. Then you need to be prepared for that kind of thing. And that's what Melissa talks about. We don't want to get disappointed. We want us to celebrate it. My God, we doing the robots, and all my ops managers on a Monday morning don't have to have a panic attack because 10 people didn't show up because they watched a hockey game the night before, or they went camping and got drunk all night. Because that's what happens in our industry. A Stanley Cup season, forget it. And camping season, forget it. Ball season, forget it. Mondays and after long weekends, forget it. And in Canada, we have a long weekend almost every month. So those are the kind of things. It's worth every dollar too, right?
Yeah, agreed. Okay, so Jennifer sends us a sobering question. What can go wrong? What goes wrong in this strategy?
We get the robots and they don't work. We have the machines. If you notice, a robot fits the existing machinery in the truss business. We just use those brand new saws and machineries and build trusses the old-fashioned way. That's what we have calculated, and we give the robots back. That's the worst case scenario in my brain. And the other thing is, we get the robots and the government interest rate goes to 50% or 20%, and there is no houses built. We just go dance with robots all night. What are you going to do then? That's it. Honestly, don't know. And you'll always look at the worst case scenario, but sometimes you don't want to lose sleep all the time worrying what could go wrong either, right? I'm not a careless man. I'm not a stupid businessman, but sometimes it's good always to look at the bright sunny side to this.
Yeah, you got to play offense. You got to play offense, right?
Yeah. Lindsay was perfect when he recommended to go with hosted design, because he said if the robot has a funny time sometimes and doesn't work, we can still build trusses the old-fashioned way. Because if you notice on robots working on a table, we can just have and produce some stuff there, right? So you can do that. But yeah, we watch out for what could go wrong. And we have done that. Trust me, we have done all of calculations. We can done what could go wrong, and we tend to spend more time on what could go right too. So.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
so
I'll jump in one more time here. It's Lindsay, just real quick on that front. So if everything goes completely like Hadi says, and we're 50% of the houses are being built in Canada, we could probably do that with 1.5 person per plant at that point. So we will be by far the most effective and efficient out there in the industry, because the volume we could produce, and it will be the last one standing for sure.
Yeah, I think this is an example. What's the old adage? Like, there's two people running in the forest, and all of a sudden they run into a bear. One guy stops to tie his shoes, and the other guy goes, "Hey, listen, dude, you're not going to be able to outrun this bear." And the guy says, "Look, I don't have to outrun the bear. I have to outrun you." That's the competitive nature here. I mean, if things are going to slow down, we're still more competitive than almost any other competitor we've got, right? So, no, thanks for that, Lindsay. Okay, so the flip side, the other question now becomes more of, okay, not necessarily flip side, but Evans asks, will future robotic installations be cheaper than the first three, as the software firmware has already been completed and can just be duplicated? Yeah, I mean, I expect that sort of future versions of robotics is going to get cheaper and cheaper. But at that point, our advantage, our sort of first mover advantage, I think, is going to have instilled a lot of relationships, and ideally, we've got the capability of going out and building more of these things before some of the smaller players. There, I don't see robotics getting to the sort of the price point where a lot of our small competitors can really do anything about it. So I don't view that as a concern. If robotics is cheaper next year, it's not going to be materially cheaper. Likely it's going to be the same price. It just might have a little bit more, more capability. I don't know if anybody wants to chime in on that.
Yeah, I don't know. And you too, at the beginning, there was a higher price. Now it's more competitive price, and it's better. Not competitive because they don't really have competition, but the price is better, but it's cost. It's cost of designing it, putting it together, making it fit for the truss plan and stuff there. And in my experience, being in our business, the machineries we buy now is almost cost to us as much as it was 5-6 years ago. It doesn't go the other way around there. And so that's the part. Then, and if they want to come and charge us more and stuff, there, God help them out with Lindsay and Manny on the other side, do our design, do our due diligence and purchasing there. I do not want to sell to those guys. So they are pretty good at what they do. Thank God they are on my side. So they're amazing at what they do. So
exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, a question in from Greg. Greg says, how much downtime do the robots need for regular maintenance?
Lindsay,
I can grab this one if you want. Yeah,
Please,
sorry.
yeah.
So we were down visiting the plant that is fully robotic and watching them, as Hadi said, which was super awesome. We talked to them a bit, and what they were doing at that point was about 4 hours a week of maintenance. So they were doing that, integrating that in their Friday afternoon shift, and that was their cleanup and what they did. So it was no different than when they ran their manual plant. It was actually a little less time they found for their maintenance versus all the other cleanup and stuff they had to do, because the plant was just so much easier to take care of in that front. So I don't know if that answers the question fully, but really it's exactly the same as what we look at now. And then a little bit more of a major one, like we said, every 3 to 5 years, where they come in, and we would obviously schedule that for when we have time to do it.
Oh, that's awesome. No, great insight. Appreciate that, Lindsay. Okay, another question comes in from Greg. It says, if the company will have much more revenue and earnings in less than 2 years, would it make sense to do levered share buyback now? My quick answer is no. Partly because like when we look at sort of use of capital today, for me anyway, the kind of return on this investment to focus on robotics right now in the short term, that is the best use of capital. Paying for as many robots as we can and building out the business now. We can always look at, once the cash flow is coming in, even if the shares are a higher price, yeah, I think it would make more sense, and certainly is a sort of a de-risked way of doing it, rather than sort of levering up now to buy stock now. Even though I personally think the stock's very cheap now, I think the best use of capital for this business right now is to get these robots moving as fast as we can.
you see, Paul, and this is a great question. When you look at a business 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road, 20 years down the road, and the investment you make, it's no different to I do it or some individual owner does their individual trust plan. When I built that new building at Atlas in year 2002 or whatever, and put all my money, everything into a brand new building, brand new machineries, and it was just put it in there. And in 5 years, the return on your investment and all the money you start making, you could build the same thing 5 times more. So I look at it, all the investment we've done, and we've done it in 2 fronts. Like even we 3.5 years ago we started, but you coming on board and everything there. We cleaned our house. We corrected some of the mistakes we had made in the past. Then we built the team. Right now we have most of the team is on this call with me right now. Even 2 days ago, I met with them about a growth plan where we're going to go next 10 years. Like, I am lucky and blessed. Finally, I have some powerful team working with me across the country that they can deliver the same vision and message with us. So we have the team. Now we give them the ammunition, we give them the machine, we give them the facilities and the product. There's a time and a place in 4 or 5 years, or maybe 8 years, that we are doing so much volume and we produce, because we are a cash flow producing company. We are not a software or technology company. We produce money every day too. Maybe not first quarter because of seasonality of our business, but through the year, 4 quarters, we produce good cash flow. There's a comes a time and a place when you hit the 500 million, 750 million, and the money you are producing and the cash you're producing and your machinery is all set, your land is set, everything's set, your loan is paid, everything's down. You're going to have so much cash. It doesn't matter what your share price is. You will start buying those shares back fast. And you will start making decisions like that. But we are still in that building the future mode and meeting the demand and creating that revenue stuff there. This is a patient game that you go towards it. But first, you need to have the equipment, the machinery, everything to manufacture, to ship, make the money, everything. And one day you wake up and it makes sense. Oh, you got so much cash. What are we going to do with it? one option would be to buy share back. And at that time, whether the share is $1.50, $2, $10, $100, it doesn't matter. You are putting the company money back into your own company.
Yeah.
So
and
there you go.
Yeah, and I say like you know, one of the things I think the team here has done really well is it always looks at the different options it has for use of capital, and you know, there's so many different options for that capital. You either buy back stock, you buy another, you know, either a competitor or another facility, or in a case like this, you're deploying capital in sort of equipment. So there's various places you use that cash.
Yeah.
You know, it's all an exercise of taking out the calculator and figure out where the best use of that cash is. So, you know, at a later date, you again, you review, and if the stock's cheap enough, you buy back stock. If it's not, you go and use your currency for an acquisition or use the cash for an acquisition. I mean, there's a lot of different options.
And it's just like you saw last time we did the buyback shares. We bought it at average 55, 60 cents, whatever you did. We bought those. We knew where we're going to use it, and we used them at the last M&A we did there, right? So there is always a reason behind it. Well, I could see us in 5 years, in a few years' time, we are in a total different position that we can do that kind of thing without even thinking twice about it, you know?
It becomes so easy though. Like when the acquisitions are out in the market and they're asking 4 or 5 times EBITDA, when the stock is trading at 3 times EBITDA yourself, it's easier. I mean, it was so easy at that time to buy back stock because we were the cheapest acquisition out in the market. You look there and you say, you know, 3 times EBITDA, that's basically a 3-year payback. When you look at robotics right now and you see a 1 to 2 year payback, it's pretty obvious where the cash goes, right? It's unless we find an acquisition that's trading at 1 times EBITDA, it makes all the sense in the world to keep sort of investing in robotics. Let's move on to some other questions. They just keep piling up. And
I love a question. I just had a glimpse of a question from Jennifer. He said, any concern about builders first coming to?
Okay, we'll get to that in a second. I want to go through them as we go here. Otherwise, I'll miss a bunch.
Oh, sorry about that, Paul.
No,
sorry,
no worries, no worries.
Do your job now, huh?
Yeah, that's right. Let's not get too ahead of ourselves. So Gilles says, is Atlas also expecting the profit margin of the robotic upgrade at the high-tech and LCF plant to be plus or minus 30%? I think, Gilles, it's important to think of it as let's model out at the same sort of numbers we're doing right now, but expand the geography, right? We've got the capability now of increasing our revenue because of a bigger footprint, and keep the same sort of margins as we are now. Now, if we don't increase that footprint, then yes, of course, the margins should improve, but that's not really what we're after. We're after sort of the larger nominal return rather than the percentage return, right? So just think, again, it helps to be a little bit conservative and say, okay, if we just stay where we are right now, but expand the revenues, you know, we're looking pretty good. We're looking pretty good. Okay, so here's Gilles says, what can go wrong? Question mark. Donald Trump can go wrong. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a valid point. You know, like I said, we're going to try to stay away from politics and stuff like that, but governments can go wrong, right? Not just in the States, but in Canada as well. Like a lot of government initiatives that come out or things that the government could do could be one of those things that go wrong, right? They're trying to do some things. I think they're doing some things right, but I still think they're doing a lot of things wrong. So don't don't discount the fact that governments could be our pain point.
I just want to, Paul, make it clear about government. Government has made a lot of noise, right?
Yeah.
But all the things they had offered is all, if you go on their website, like I have my people on the front line for those kind of programs. It's all to be determined. There is not even opened up. Because sometimes they talk cheap. We just think they mean something. It's just gaslighters, right?
Yeah.
The one thing area they've done, the 2 things that's starting to impact really great though, taking the GST away for apartment buildings.
For rentals, yeah.
And for rental. And the one that I was absolutely amazed that Nanaimo implemented it without having all those public hearings they will do for 2 years. Because I was a developer. We used to go through pain trying to rezone something. Now
Yeah.
they don't have a public hearing, and they agree to rental apartments right away on the area. So those are the kind of things is happening. The rest of stuff that Justin Trudeau went to Alberta and said, oh, prefab building, component building, blah, blah, is the future. We're going to invest money stuff there. Good luck. We've been talking about that for 20 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
His,
And that's
his
my
English
point.
finally got good and understood what we
So yeah, so some of the things they've done have clearly been a benefit, but others, it is more smoke and mirrors right now.
Yeah.
We're not seeing sort of the rubber hit the road here. So
Yeah.
in my mind, the
And then
further,
at the end, sorry, to answer the question is, all I know as an immigrant coming here with no money, I always had money in the bank for a rainy day. We even still now run the business, money in the bank for a rainy day. If anything could go wrong, cash is king.
Mhm.
And wherever something goes wrong, it doesn't last forever. COVID came and gone and didn't end the humanity. It's that a Stockdale paradox. Always have faith in life. Everything's going to work out.
Yeah. Yeah. And what I was going to say is usually the further government gets out of the way, the faster things actually get done.
Yeah.
So
So
that's just,
and that's the part I want to say. I see I've signed it. That's a good question. I'm very optimistic person, and I'm a realistic. I've been through a lot of recession. I came here in '82 was the worst recession that you couldn't even find a job as a janitor, you know. But at the end, I know it's like that famous saying from the general Stockdale paradox. Is there's always have faith. Everything's going to work out. That's all you can do.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, let's run through a whole bunch more questions. I don't want to keep everybody here too long, but okay. So Dan asks, fast forward 2 years from now, you have much more truss capacity through robotics and labor availability for wall panels. How should we think about your annual production capacity for wall panels at that point in time? No question. Like as we implement more robotics, it increases our capacity for wall panels. Correct, Hadi?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And increases and then that's the next move you do. You go into the wall panels, you go into the technologies, the robotics, everything. Once you do your primary product, the secondary product, you start working on that. And we already started working on it. And doing the research, doing the design, doing the buildings, everything. So
at risk of going back to what I just said and trying to keep some from everybody, there is a plan for robotics in the wall panel side as well. So you know, within 2 years, we should be well down, at least started down that path to robotics for wall panels. As we build out demand for the products, we expect to have to make sure that we increase our capacity, because you know, wall panels is an interesting product that you know, you can reach current capacity within what we can do. We can reach that very, very quickly if we haven't already. So we have to already start addressing what the capacity looks like on wall panels. Okay. Haranch says, for the 12 to 24 months, will there be any effect on the operations of the specific plant while the robotics is being integrated? Do you have to pause operations or stop certain sections of the plant for any amount of time? Clearly, for the new robotic facility in Clinton, there's no disruption whatsoever. That doesn't affect our ongoing facility. But the other two, high tech and
not LCF, Paul. LCF, the building is just right now we use as storage. That's minimal. Except it will give Kevin, the ops manager, and Danielle, the production manager, a little bit more headache. That one, the building's there. High tech is the one, but we have the backup with Atlas and Nova.
Yeah. So minor disruption, we'll call it, at high tech, very little disruption at all at LCF. Okay, so now we're at Jennifer's question. Any concern about a company like Builders FirstSource coming into Canada and competing with us?
Yes and no. Yes, because we are the one and only publicly trading company doing this business here. And no, because whenever you're dealing with a big company like that size, we are all held accountable for a certain volume and a certain margin. We are not run by a cowboy owner that they make decisions whatever they do. They have boards, they have finance, and they are diligent in their finances and stuff there. And really, no.
You know, I'm going to chime in too. So for Builders FirstSource to make a real foray into Canada, there's not a lot of other large operators that they can actually go and acquire. So they would have to go through some of the big players to get a material footprint in Canada. or they're going to have to go and greenfield it. The problem with greenfield it is you're starting with no relationships whatsoever, right? So this is still a heavily relationship style business that if you don't have the confidence of the client or the salespeople on the ground getting products sold, you've got a long lead time until you get a greenfield operation up and running. So that's the advantage we have. This is our backyard. We've got existing clients that trust us already. We've got, salespeople, we've got operations. In my humble opinion, if a builder's first source were serious about coming into Canada, the first approach would be they would call us. I think that is the most strategic move for a company like Builders First Source. It'd be cheaper for them to buy us than build to compete with us.
And then,
but again, my own opinion there.
And I've done business in US and I've done business in Canada. I love doing business in Canada because I'm Canadian, but I love doing way more business in US. I make way more money. There's way more population. There's way more capitalist government, less restriction, less taxes, less red tape, and everything about it. For every dollar I put in US, I get $10 back. For every dollar I put in here, I get 25 cents back. So sometimes, what are you in business for? You're not in business just to expand your territory. You're in business to make money. And with this kind of business stuff, that there's still a lot of room for growth in US. Why would you want to come to Canada with all the red tapes we have in this country? Lots of US corporations come here that made it and lots haven't. But at the end of it, really, you're always going to have keep an eye on competition, that there's always new competition going to come to town. But when I was a fighter, I never worried about it. And in business, I don't worry about it.
And one last note on Builders First Source. It is a massively fragmented industry in the US still, and they've got way lower hanging fruit in the US to go after than coming up to Canada. So obviously we keep an eye. The bigger we get, the more let's say defensive we can be in that case. But I'm personally not worried about it. I think it could be pretty interesting development if something.
You see, and then the other thing is, Paul, one thing I love about our industry, and I always like, that's why I got into it, is we don't make widgets that you put on shelf that somebody could make them in Vietnam, China, or India, or whatever. We are making a very, very intensive design product. We design it, we manufacture it. And it's a structurally complicated product we make. So it's not something you make on the shelf and ship it out and put it on the shelf and ship it out all the time. And that thing needs a lot of designers and a lot of one-on-one with people and stuff there. And that's the one area with this product is very, very hard to do that. Now, that also, like you said, one of my job is always watch out what's going on in the marketplace and be ready for it. So,
yeah. Okay, so unfortunately, I'm starting to run out of time here, but we're going to go through all the questions rapid pace here. Are you aware? Daniel says, are you aware of any bigger competitors in the wall panel space? And is the next stage of robotics strategy focused on wall panels to benefit from first mover advantage in that segment as well?
There will be a first mover advantage, absolutely. In the robotics, I'm aware of one half robotic, and I'm aware of a couple of others that they are going into that, or 3 across the country, but not on different provinces, not in a scale of a nationwide. I'm aware of it, that there are some companies looking at it in the wall panels, that component manufacturing, but they are more going into the prefab and home manufacturing. We deal with the builders. We do not go cut our clients down and build homes and prefab manufacturing. That's a total business. We are not in business of picking up bathroom sinks and washroom sinks and stuff there. We are in business of component manufacturing. That goes to the 95% of the needs in the building industry. Prefab homes and that kind of thing, those are fragmented business across the country that they have a great place for it. But that's not our business. Our clients are those people. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, so Russell asks, how has the response been from our employees on the floor with this move to robotics?
It's new. This just coming out. This week was that news release you saw, was the first time you saw me mentioning robots in the public, and it's new, and I'm sure we will have some reaction to it. but we'll just deal with it. And there are, and they will see at the end with our business and the blue collar board we are, the proof is in the pudding. You can tell them whatever you want to, whatever you want to tell them. They will believe it when they see it. And as long as they know it at the end of it, it's not going to take their jobs away. It's going to make their life easier. And then they accept it. And so far, no reaction yet. And they know it. We are desperate for laborers. So we are desperate at the moment. They know we keep asking them, can you bring your friends over? Can you bring your friend here? You know, so, but we will see. And then we will see with the next 2 months, 3 months, what the reaction will be. We want more and more people hear the news.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, so Jacob asks, when do we expect Q1 numbers to be out? I can answer that. They should be out early next week.
Yeah.
I think either Monday or Tuesday, I believe. So
that's right.
You'll get those numbers soon. Okay, so Ray, I saw your question about the potential for governments placing a tax on robots. You know, never say never. I mean, with governments, you never know what's going to happen. I'm certainly not aware of anything like that. If anything, certainly in Canada, what they're starting to talk about is anything, any sort of automation or any improvement in the home building sort of process. Quite frankly, they're giving money out, or they're claiming to give out money for anything that improves the sort of the effectiveness of the current shrinking labor pool. So I don't see them, they're certainly not incentivized to go and try to slow down capital that's going into any kind of home automation right now. Okay, so the question,
capital gain part of it, but not
well, the capital gain stuff, yeah, I mean that's a completely different animal here. Evans asks, who's supplying the trusses for the new Clinton plant?
Oh, that's a steel factory. We probably from ADF Group.
I was going to say we might be getting it from ADF Group. Yeah.
Good question, but that's a total steel factory. The span on that bulb, it's a magnificent building, by the way. It's 42,000 something, around 40,000 square feet. Beautiful building.
Yeah. Guess what? That was the last question. That was the very last question. Perfect. So listen, everybody, I want to thank everybody for joining us today. I certainly want to thank Hadi, Lindsay, Melissa, and the team that joined us from Atlas. We covered a lot of questions, but as always, guys, if there's anything we missed, you know, feel free to reach out to myself. Hadi's always available as well. We've also got Jake Boma, who is investor relations for the company. We can, you know, anybody can reach out and we can get those questions answered. We're hoping over the next little while, as there's more developments, you know, we're going to have more video and more stuff like that, certainly as we get closer to the robots. But this has been fun. I always love to talk to the guys at Atlas. They're great people. And hopefully we've covered enough for everybody. I want to thank everybody again for joining us. And we will catch up with everyone very soon. Bye for now.
Thank you. Have a wonderful weekend, everybody. And thank you for everything. Thank you for your support. Thank you, guys.